Hey everyone, just starting making sure that I get all the technology organized for the stream. So give me half a second to make sure that's all working. Let's see. Okay, awesome. We've got it working. So hey there. Technology, always a challenge for me. Nice to see you again. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Elizabeth Hughes. And I want to talk to you today about um, the placebo effect. And this came up because a couple different things happened over the last couple weeks. I started reading Dr. Joe Dispenza's newest book, or I think it's his newest book, Becoming Supernatural. But his first book, You Are the Placebo, I think is a fantastic book. And I really, really enjoy it. And I recommend it for people all the time. So I'm reading Dr. Dispenza's book, and every time I pick up or hear about him, I associate him with that statement, "You are the placebo." And I also got an email from someone who's been struggling with her health, and I offered some help, and she said, "Well, I'm studying Joe Dispenza's work, and I believe it will cure me." And I believe that Dr. Dispenza's ideas are fantastic, and they are curative. But they're not. So let me back up a little bit and just sort of distill down the idea of you are the placebo for a moment. And this is what Dr. Dispenza talks about. It's what I have come to see in my life through conventional medicine and then moving into the world of the unconventional but genuinely healthy and devoted to well healing. That we all have a source of health and healing ability within us. It lies in each and every person, this healing ability. And that is undeniable. That's undeniable by any standard, even regular medical science. When you break it right down, says yes, the person has to heal themselves. And that is what people call the placebo. You are the key to getting healthy, right? Even if you take a medicine, your body has to process it. And if your body can process it in a way that's, so that the medicine has an effect, or it can process it in a way in which it doesn't have an effect. And so you are that magic X factor, the placebo to your health. But there is a difference between being the placebo and having the placebo effect activated. And let me break this down. I'm going to give you an example for a moment. So you can have a magnet, right? You can have a piece of metal that is magnetic, and sitting there, it is a magnet. But unless it is around something that it can, that is metal, that is of the right, consistency to be attracted to the magnet itself is worthless, as a magnet, right? So you only can see the magnetic effect in the right context with the right other things around it, right? Same thing goes, let's say for a battery. You have a big battery, car battery or whatever battery it is, and it can be sitting in the middle of a field, surrounded by grass or whatever it is, surrounded by grass or a crop or something like that. And that battery sitting there may have a great deal of electrical energy in it, but it doesn't do any good unless it is in the right context, unless it is attached, connected to the rest of a system that can use that energy. Or if it's a rechargeable battery, can recharge that energy. Sitting in the field, the battery is useless. Sitting, in the middle of a pillow with nothing metal around, the magnet is useless. There's no electrical effect. There's no magnetic effect unless you get those things into the right context, into the right setting, with the right connections. And the same is true for the placebo effect. So you are indeed the placebo. You are the thing that heals yourself. But if you want the placebo effect, you need something additional. And fortunately for all of us, that additional thing is known. It's a known commodity, because there's been some brilliant research done at Harvard on the placebo effect. You wouldn't think Harvard, of all places, bastion of conventional medicine, has studies on the placebo effect, but it does. So this researchers have been very interested in what actually makes the whole placebo effect occur. And it requires not just a person or just a pill, but it requires three distinct, separate things that need to happen together. And they're these three things. I'll go through them. Number one, positive expectations on the part of the patient. You have to believe that you can get better. You have to believe that the medication is going to work. You have to believe that you have the power to heal, right? So you, are part of that effect. But there's two other things. The second is positive expectations on the part of the doctor or practitioner or what therapist or whatever it is. The doctor has to have the same positive expectations, right? Just as important as yours. And the third thing that's required to get the whole of the placebo effect is the right setting, the right context, the right relationship between the two, the patient and the doctor, or between the person seeking help and the helper. Let's call it that, because I don't like the word sick and ill. So there is a relational component that is incredibly important. And what's been very interesting is the researchers that have been able to break this down by controlling for each of these things. So if a patient is told you're getting a miracle cure that happens to be a sugar pill, and the doctor is told this is just a sugar pill and it's probably not going to do anything, you do not have the same effect, the same degree of magnitude of effect that happens when both people believe the medication is effective, right? You can also change the context. For instance, you can have the doctor believing that the medication is effective. You can have the patient believing it, but have their interaction be as brief as possible or as rushed as possible. Or you can have, a doctor who believes everything's good and a patient who believes everything's good, and the middle of a busy clinic or busy office where the whole space, the whole relationship is interrupted. So all of that can happen that will change the placebo effect. So you need all three. You need to have positive expectation on the part of the patient, positive expectation on the part of the doctor or health practitioner, and positive expectation and a specific therapeutic relationship between them. Okay. So, and if you don't have all three, you don't get the placebo effect. You don't actually see the whole effect for what happens. Okay? Now, what does this mean? This means you cannot get healthy in a vacuum. And this is super duper important because I see all the time people like the woman who emailed me and said, Dr. Joe Dispenza's work is going to save me. But I know, because I know this person specifically, that she is alone in her apartment, reading away and believing that if she reads enough, that that's going to be sufficient. And itch, sorry. And here's the truth of the matter. Joe Dispenza's awesome, and he sells millions of books. And Deepak Chopra's awesome, and he sells millions of books. And Lissa Rankin is awesome, and Bruce Lipton is awesome. And there's so many amazing. Louise Hay was awesome, and they sell collectively millions and millions of books. And if you're watching this, you probably have a bookcase, and I'm gesturing to my bookcase that's sitting right over there, full of their books. And others, other fantastic ones like Dr. Larry Dossey and Gabor Mate, and just there's so much good information out there. But if you have a bookcase full of books, but you're still not having the health experience, not having the experience of living in your body that you want, if you still have the symptoms that you turn to these books for, fatigue, pain, whatever, fatigue, pain, brain fog, anxiety, whatever it is, whatever the condition you have, and whatever the symptoms that you have, if you still have them, it's because you don't have everything you need for the placebo effect. You can read and digest those books and understand them and thoroughly believe them, but if you do not have the rest, if you do not have a partner and the right relationship, the placebo effect cannot work. Cannot work. And I just wanted to take just another moment and talk about why you can't rely on your regular conventional doctor to be the other parts of the placebo effect, right? So I'm going to put on my white coat, which I don't put on very much anymore, but I'll put on my white coat for a moment. As a conventional doctor, once I have diagnosed you with something, whatever it is, my training kicks in, and there is actually this sort of like huge database of facts about diseases in my head. And maybe not mine so much because of who I am and what I do and how I approach things, but your typical doctor, when the word, like you've got high blood pressure, bingo. There's an algorithm that just gets pulled up in a doctor's mind, or a nurse practitioner, or a physician's assistant. I mean, we all have this. It's trained into us that this is okay. We're going to do this. We're going to expect this. The next thing that's going to need to happen is this. And so it all happens, and all of a sudden, the positive expectations that I might want to have, that I as a doctor might want to have, go out the window. Because I've already replaced those positive expectations with the averages that I've been taught and the averages that I've seen in my own clinical practice, in my own experience. And I lose that positive expectation. I may not want to. It happens completely subconsciously, but it goes, and just poof, it goes. And you become, you, the patient, don't become a person who has the potential to overcome cancer. You become a person with this cancer, with this survival statistic, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's a subtle, automatic switch that happens in the mind of the doctor And as wonderful as your doctor might be, and as phenomenal and caring as they might be, that switch still happens. And as a doctor, you have to learn and unlearn to become very, very aware of the fact that this switch is happening in your head. And you have to learn, it's a conscious effort at first to view you, the patient, with a different lens, with a totally different lens. And the second reason that you can't rely on your medical condition, your medical conventional medicine necessarily to be able to get, invoke that whole of the placebo effect is the whole setting. And I'm going to be really, really honest with you right now. Doctors are unbelievably pressed for time. Time is the last thing they have. It really is. And while they may desperately want to have time for their patients, the truth of the matter is that when they're in the room with you, and I will speak for me and everybody I've ever known who's practiced in a conventional medical uh, setting. They're in the room with you, and half of them is in the next room, or looking at, when you type, as a doctor, when I get into the medical record and I start looking at a computer screen, I get little alerts that says, you've got this many new results, and you've got this message that needs to be entered, and you've got this phone call, and all of a sudden you're not in the room. And you've only got a few minutes as it is. And the algorithm helps in this case. I mean, okay, so we've got this condition. This is step one. I can empathetically and kindly say, okay, I've got something for you. But where's the placebo effect in that? Where's the time to create a relationship that is yours and yours alone? Where is the time and space for that? Where is the doctor's, what happened to the doctor's desire to see you get better? It's all been hijacked. It all gets hijacked, and it happens right under our noses. And we just think that this is how medicine has to be, and that this is how health is. And I find it funny that people will search for world experts, travel around the country to find the person who's going to help them. But of course, if a bazillion other people are going to find the person, that one expert, that expert doesn't have any time to know you or create the therapeutic space that's actually going to help. So let me just sum up. Yes, you're the placebo, but if you want the whole placebo effect, there's more elements. And you cannot create health in a vacuum. You can't create health by, picking up, got Dr. Dispenza's book. You can't create health by picking up a book and reading it on your own. And a book and a person's words and a person's video, including this video, right? Including this video. It's not a substitute for the other elements that go into making the placebo effect happen. So the question is, if you want to be the placebo, what are you doing to make sure that your maximal effect, that placebo effect is going to occur? Okay, that's what I've got for now. Thanks for watching, and I will be back again soon, I'm sure. Bye for now.